In a world where love often ends in betrayal, and revenge seems like the only justice, one girl chooses a different path, the path of Allah. She gave her heart. He gave her heartbreak. She could have shattered his world, exposed his lies, and watched him beg. But instead, she chose to forgive. Not for him, not for herself, but for the sake of her Lord. This is not just a story. It's a storm of emotions, a lesson in strength, a journey of healing, and a twist that no one saw coming. Presenting, I Forgave Him Because I Love Allah More. A soul-stirring Islamic tale of betrayal, patience, and divine revenge where justice comes from the one who never forgets. Are you ready for tears, chills, and truth? Then hit that like button, subscribe to Funny Fun, and get ready for an unforgettable hour of wisdom and wonder. It was a quiet evening in Lahore. The call to Maghrib echoed softly through the dusty air, casting a spiritual hush over the bustling city. In a modest apartment on Firozpur Road, Ariba sat alone, scrolling through her phone, eyes locked on a message that shattered her world just 3 days ago. It's over, Ariba. I'm marrying Hania next week. Please don't contact me again. Sikander. That single message had pierced her heart like a dagger. Sikander. The same Sikander who had once promised to fight the world for her, who had taken oaths beneath the sky, who had whispered that her smile was his entire world. Gone, betrayed, just like that. Ariba's hands trembled. She closed the chat, turned her phone upside down, and took a deep breath. Tears welled up, but she refused to let them fall. This wasn't just heartbreak. It was humiliation. It was betrayal. But Ariba wasn't just any girl. She was the daughter of a widow who raised her on the stories of Hazrat Yusuf, as Hazrat Maryam, as and the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu, not to cry when hurt, but to stand when crushed. Still, this pain was unlike anything she'd ever known. She didn't eat for 2 days. She didn't speak much. Her friends called, but she ignored them. She would walk to the masjid nearby, sit in the women's section, and just cry. Not out loud, just tears flowing silently in front of her Rab. And one night, under the dim light of the moon, she asked in sajda, Ya Allah, main tu chuki hoon. Magar main insaan hoon, main badla lena chahti hoon. Lekin tere tarika se. That was the night Ariba decided she wouldn't take revenge like the world does. She would take revenge the way Allah's beloveds did. Ariba wiped her face with the sleeves of her hijab and stood up from the prayer mat. The air around her was still, but her heart had started beating again, not with pain, but with purpose. She had made a decision, not to humiliate Sikander, not to ruin his wedding, not to send screenshots or show the world what he did. Instead, she was going to rise higher, not for him, not for people, but for Allah. The next morning, Ariba made wudu, dressed in simple clothes, and went to the madrasa where she volunteered to teach little girls Qur'an every Sunday. As she entered, the young girls ran toward her. Ariba api, hum ne surah Rahman yad karli. Ariba smiled a real one for the first time in days. She sat with them, helping them recite, listening to their voices. Their innocence melted some of the bitterness still stuck inside her. That day she stayed longer. She prayed duhur in the masjid and then sat quietly by the window. One of the elderly Ustanis, Baji Farida, noticed her lost in thought. Beta, sab khair tu hai? Ariba hesitated, then softly said, Dil tuta hai Baji. Par main chati hoon ke main badla biloon, or sawab bikama loon. Baji Farida chuckled and replied with wisdom earned through years and tears. To sabr kar. Badla sirf Allah ka hota hai, tum maaf karogi, to tum jeet jaogi. Aska dil Allah toraiga. Those words stuck with her, like sunlight peeking through clouds. That evening, Ariba typed a message. Sikander, I won't curse you. I won't expose you. I pray Allah guides you. I forgive you not because you deserve it, but because I want Allah to forgive me on the day of judgment. Jis din sab kuch samne aa jayega. She stared at it for 5 minutes, then hit send, and with that, she set herself free. The clock struck midnight, and Saba sat alone in her prayer corner. Her eyes were still moist from crying, but her heart was slowly finding peace. The verses of the Qur'an echoed in her mind. And let them pardon and overlook. Would you not like that Allah should forgive you? Surah An-Nur 24:22. Suddenly, a notification buzzed on her phone. It was a voice note from Sikander. His voice was trembling. He said, "Saba, I saw a dream last night. You were wearing white, glowing, and walking away from me in silence. I woke up crying. I don't know what this means, but I can't stop thinking about what I've done. I've ruined everything. Please, just let me apologize. One last time. For real." Saba's fingers trembled as she played the message again. This time, she didn't cry. She didn't feel rage. She felt a strange strength, as if something higher had begun guiding her heart. She stood up, performed wudu, and offered 2 rakats of Salatul Tawbah, tears falling silently as she whispered, "Ya Allah, give me the strength to choose your forgiveness over my anger." The next day, Sikander was shocked to see a message from her. It read, "I forgive you, not because you deserve it, but because I need Allah to forgive me too. I will not carry this burden of hate anymore. May you find your way back to Him." He couldn't believe his eyes. In that moment, FunnyFun2 Islamic Channel brings this powerful lesson. Forgiveness is not about forgetting the pain, it's about choosing peace over punishment, for the sake of Allah. Stay with us because in part 4, Sikander's life takes a shocking turn. What happens when he decides to change, but it's already too late? Subscribe to FunnyFun2 Islamic Channel for more powerful Islamic moral stories. Like, share, and pass this message of forgiveness to someone who needs it. Shall I continue to part 4 now? Sikander read Saba's message again. "I forgive you, not because you deserve it, but because I need Allah to forgive me too." The words pierced his heart like a blade dipped in honey, sweet yet painful. He slumped against his wall, phone still in hand, guilt crashing over him like tidal waves. She forgave me? Even after what I did? Why? Suddenly, everything felt silent. The kind of silence that forces a man to meet his own soul. Tea night. Sikander walked to the mosque for the first time in years. He didn't tell anyone. No status update, no drama. Just a quiet boy, dragging behind him a suitcase full of sins. He sat at the back, watching old men pray with trembling hands, young kids reciting Qur'an, and a janitor cleaning the floor with devotion. All of them, so close to Allah. And me? His tears flowed, quietly at first, then uncontrollably. People looked, but no one judged. The Imam walked over, placed a hand on his shoulder, and simply asked, "Are you ready to come back to Him?" Sikander nodded. He finally prayed. For the first time in years, his forehead touched the ground, not in defeat, but in submission. Meanwhile, Saba was healing too. She felt lighter. Her heart was no longer shackled to hate. Forgiving Sikander hadn't erased the past, but it had freed her future. She started attending Islamic study circles, posted small reminders on her status, and even shared a link to her favorite channel, FunnyFun2 Islamic Channel, where real stories meet real hearts. But then, the twist. Just when everything seemed to be calming, Sikander's mother called Saba. Yes, his mother. "Beta, muhe pata haitum, ne mer bete ko maaf kar diya. Lekin maintum se kuch zaruri baat karna chahti hoon." Saba froze. What could she possibly want? What truth was yet to be uncovered? What real reason had pushed Sikander to betray her? A new layer of the past was about to unfold. And it had nothing to do with love, but everything to do with a dark family secret. Saba sat on the edge of her bed, heart pounding. Sikander's mother's voice still echoed in her ears. "Beta, muhe tum se kuch zaruri baat karni hai." She didn't know what to expect. Was this about forgiveness? Was it guilt? But nothing could have prepared her for the words that came next. साबा, तुम समझती हो कि सिकंदर ने तुम्हारा दिल तोड़ा, बस यूं ही? तुम्हें पता भी है उसने तुमसे मोहब्बत कितनी की थी? Saba's throat went dry. Usne धोखा क्यों दिया? A pause, then a truth darker than betrayal. वो तुमसे निकाह करना चाहता था, उसने हमें बताया था, पर मैं राजी नहीं थी. क्या? Saba's voice trembled. मैं नहीं चाहती थी कि मेरी बहू हिजाब पहने मस्जिद जाए. मुझे डर था कि तुम उसका दिमाग भी बदल दोगी. Saba's hand went cold. It wasn't just Sikander. It was his own home, his environment, his fears. मैं मानता हूँ, गलती मेरी थी. मैंने अपने बेटे को गुनाह की तरफ धकेल दिया. वो रोज़ा रखने लगा था, कुरान पढ़ने लगा था. जब तुम उसकी जिंदगी में आई थी, मुझे डर लगाया था. आज वो सिर्फ रो रहा है, मस्जिद जाता है, खामोश रहता है. तुम उसका जिंदगी का रोशन पहलू थी, और मैंने अंधेरा चुना. Saba couldn't breathe. She had been blamed, then betrayed. But now, she was being proven right by the one person she least expected. At the mosque, Sikander sat silently in the front row. His beard was slowly growing. His eyes had a constant redness, not from drugs, but from crying in tahajjud. He was learning the Qur'an, surah by surah, verse by verse. Every night, after Isha, he would listen to Islamic stories on FunnyFun2 Islamic Channel, especially the ones on forgiveness, repentance, and the power of a woman's prayer. One story titled, "She Left Me for the Sake of Allah, and I Found Allah Because of Her," left him broken in tears. Sikander's mother sent Saba a final voice note. "Beta, main ye कहने लायक नहीं रही, लेकिन अगर तुम चाहो, एक बार उसे मिल लो. ना वापस आने के लिए, ना निकाह के लिए, सिर्फ एक इंसान को माफ करने के लिए." Saba sat silent. She wasn't angry anymore, but she wasn't sure either. Did she owe him a conversation? Would it bring peace or reopen wounds? She prayed istikhara, tears on her prayer mat, whispers in the night. "Ya Allah, guide me. My heart is in pain, but I want to follow only your will." The next morning, she typed a single line. "Let's meet, but only for closure for the sake of Allah." And with that, their fates prepared to cross one last time. But closure isn't always what we think it is, because Allah's plans are never small. Their meeting, a moment that could destroy or heal. But a shocking twist awaits one that neither of them could see coming. Don't forget to follow FunnyFun2 Islamic Channel for real stories that revive your soul and help you walk closer to Allah. Sikander stood silently at the doorstep of the masjid, the evening azan echoing in the air. His heart was torn between regret and hope. For the first time in years, he entered the masjid not for show, not to impress, but to repent. He sat in the last row, bowed his head, and whispered through clenched lips, "Ya Allah, I've wronged her, I've wronged myself. If you can forgive me, maybe she will too." Meanwhile, Alina was seated with her mother at home, listening to a bayan on her phone from FunnyFun2 Islamic Channel, a video titled, "Forgiveness, a Trait of the Prophets." The words struck her. When Yusuf alayhi salam forgave his brothers despite being thrown into a well, what's stopping us from letting go for the sake of Allah? Alina paused the video. Her eyes filled with tears. Her heart was not weak, it was heavy with pain, but it was also strong with faith. She stood up, picked up her phone, and sent a message. "Alina, I forgive you, Sikander, but not because you deserve it. I forgive you for the sake of Allah." Sikander stared at the message, tears rolling down his face. He didn't deserve her mercy, but through her act, she had shown him the true meaning of Rama mercy. In a world of heartbreak, lies, and betrayal, forgiveness is not weakness, it's power. And Alina? She just became the strongest soul of all. But was this the end, or just the beginning of a greater test? Sikander had started praying 5 times a day, attending Quran classes at the masjid, and even helping clean the prayer area after Fajr. People in the community noticed, but some were skeptical. Bad boys don't change overnight, whispered one old man. Maybe he's just doing it to win her back, muttered another. But Sikander wasn't doing it for them. He wasn't even doing it for Alina. He was doing it for Allah. Still, Shaitan never rests. One day, while leaving the masjid, Sikander received a message from his old friend Hashim. Bro, there's a late-night party this Friday. The old crew's asking about you. One last blast for old time's sake? His fingers hovered over the reply button. His heart thudded. The temptation was real. The past was calling. The shaitan was whispering, "What's the harm in one night? You deserve a break." But then, his eyes fell on the wall of the masjid. A small poster from FunnyFun2 Islamic Channel read, "Do not follow the whispers of shaitan after you've found the path to Allah." Surah Al-Baqarah 2:208. He smiled and replied to Hashim with just 2 words, "I'm done." Hashim didn't reply back. Neither did anyone else from that crowd again. That night, Sikander sat in silence under the stars and prayed, "Ya Allah, I left my sins for you. Please don't leave me now." Meanwhile, Alina, still receiving proposals from better men, well-off, pious, educated, kept turning them down. When her mother asked why, she replied simply, "Because none of them remind me of a man who chose Allah over his nafs. Forgiveness may open the door, but consistency is what proves you deserve to walk through it." Sikander passed one test, but bigger storms were gathering. Will the community ever accept him? Will Alina's family agree to his return? And what happens when an unexpected visitor from Sikander's past knocks at his door? Subscribe to FunnyFun2 Islamic Channel for stories that touch the soul and awaken the heart. Like, share, and comment below. What's the biggest temptation you ever walked away from for the sake of Allah? A year had passed. Sikander's transformation was no longer a rumor, it was a reality. He now volunteered full-time at the local Islamic community center, mentoring teenage boys who were on the same path he had once walked. He wasn't perfect, but his direction had changed, and with every step, he reminded himself, "I gave up the world for Allah. Now I pray He gives me what's better." But peace is never without tests. One humid afternoon, while wiping sweat from his forehead after teaching a group of boys at the masjid, a voice called out from behind.
One humid afternoon, while wiping sweat from his forehead after teaching a group of boys at the masjid, a voice called out from behind. "Sikander?" He turned and froze. Standing before him was Mahir, his ex-best friend, his ex-accomplice, and the reason Sikander was arrested 2 years ago. Flashback. 2 years ago, during a late-night drug raid, Mahir had escaped the scene while Sikander was caught, and instead of standing by his side, Mahir vanished. No calls, no apology, no explanation. "Mahir," Sikander murmured. Mahir looked different, tired, thinner, eyes sunken, shoulders drooping. Life had clearly beaten him hard. "I heard about your change," Mahir said with a smirk. "Molvi Bangaya Haitu." "So you became a scholar now?" Sikander stayed silent, unsure whether to embrace or walk away. Mahir stepped closer. "Look, I messed up. I was scared. I should have never left you behind. But I need help, man. I have nowhere to go. I want to change too." Here came the test. Help the man who betrayed him? Open his heart to someone who left him to rot? Or turn away like the world once turned away from him? A moment of silence passed. Then Sikander did what his nafs didn't want to do. He hugged Mahir and softly whispered in his ear, "For the sake of Allah, you're forgiven." That night, after Fajr prayer, Sikander sat on the masjid's roof, looking up at the stars. Beside him sat Mahir quietly. "Do you think people like us can really change?"
Mahir asked. Sikander smiled. If Allah can forgive a murderer who repented sincerely, why can't He forgive us? He quoted a verse from the Qur'an. "Say, O my servants who have transgressed against themselves by sinning, do not despair of the mercy of Allah. Indeed, Allah forgives all sins." Surah Az-Zumar 39:53. Meanwhile, Alina's father, still unconvinced of Sikander's transformation, received an unexpected visitor, the Imam of the masjid. "Uncle," the Imam said gently, "I've seen many boys walk in and out of this masjid. Some change, some fake it. But Sikander, he's the first one I've seen truly repent. He's not the same man." Alina's father stayed silent, listening. "Give him a chance," the Imam continued. "Not for your daughter, but for the sake of Allah." This part was brought to you by FunnyFun2 Islamic Channel, where real stories meet real change. Watch, learn, and transform your heart with us. It was a quiet evening in the Ahmed household. The living room fan creaked gently, and the sun cast long shadows on the prayer mat where Alina sat in sujood. Her tears soaked the rug beneath her, but her voice was barely above a whisper. "Ya Allah, if this is good for me, make a way. If not, remove it from my heart." She had not spoken to Sikander in a year, not a word, not a message. But he lived in her du'as, and in her silence. After the way she forgave him and walked away, she made a promise to herself and to her Rab, "I'll leave this in your hands, Ya Allah. I'll not chase what isn't written for me." But deep down, she still remembered his eyes when he said, "For your sake I'll leave. For Allah's sake I'll return a new man." Meanwhile, Sikander was sitting in a small halakha circle in the masjid, reading from Riyadh as Salihin. Mahir sat beside him, flipping pages like a restless child. "Bro, are you sure I can't just walk up to your ex's father and say, 'I'm not the bad guy anymore'?" Mahir whispered jokingly. Sikander chuckled. "You think you can walk up and ask for forgiveness the same way you order biryani?" Mahir grinned. "I mean, biryani solves most problems." But Sikander's face grew serious. "I'm not doing this to get Alina back. I've already handed that chapter over to Allah." Back at Alina's home, her father, Mr. Ahmed, had trouble sleeping that night. The words of the masjid imam echoed in his mind. He's not the same man. Give him a chance, not for your daughter, but for the sake of Allah. He remembered all the nights Alina cried after ending things with Sikander. How she never once blamed him. How she said, "Baba, he didn't wrong me, he wronged Allah, and he's trying to make it right." Mr. Ahmed turned to his wife and said, "I want to see the boy." Next morning, Sikander received a message from an unknown number. "Masjid. After Asr. Come alone." He didn't recognize the sender, but somehow his heart knew. After praying Asr, he waited at the masjid gate. And then Mr. Ahmed arrived, tall, stern, dressed in white shalwar kameez. He didn't smile. Sikander stood and greeted him with trembling hands. "Assalamu alaikum, uncle." No response. The silence was long, heavy. Then Mr. Ahmed said quietly, "You hurt my daughter once, but she forgave you, before I did. That's not easy for a father to accept." Sikander lowered his gaze. "I understand," Mr. Ahmed continued. "The last time we met, you were a boy pretending to be a man. Now, I see a man who humbled himself before Allah. I can't promise anything, but I no longer see you as the same criminal I once did." Sikander's eyes welled up. "Jazakallah khair, uncle. That means more than you know." That night, Alina's mother quietly handed her a tasbih. "Your father met him today." Alina froze. "Sikander?" Her mother smiled faintly. "He didn't say yes, but he didn't say no either." The next few weeks passed with subtle shifts. Mr. Ahmed invited Sikander for tea one day. They spoke about politics, economy, even cricket. Then they prayed Maghrib together. Then they laughed at one of Mahir's clumsy jokes when he showed up with snacks and dropped the samosas. Sikander never asked about Alina, and Alina never asked about him. But Allah was arranging hearts in silence. One rainy afternoon, Alina sat beside her window, sipping chai. Her mother entered and sat beside her. "Your father made a dua after Jummah today." Alina looked at her. "Which one?" Her mother gently placed a hand over her heart. "He said, 'Ya Allah, if this boy is truly reformed, Grant him a wife who brings him peace, and if my daughter is that peace, make it easy." Alina looked away, tears streaming silently down her cheeks. This moment was brought to you by FunnyFun2 Islamic Channel, where hearts heal with the remembrance of Allah, and stories restore hope and faith. Sometimes, the hardest forgiveness isn't between lovers, it's between a father and the man who broke his trust. But when Allah mends hearts, even broken pieces fit together again. Will Sikander and Alina's story find closure in marriage, or will Allah test them once more? Comment, MashaAllah, if you believe true tawbah can open impossible doors. Sikander sat in the masjid courtyard under a sky turning gold with the fading sun. The peaceful echoes of the azan reminded him of the day he first saw Zoya in that very masjid courtyard. So much had changed since then, and yet, the regret in his chest still burned like the day she walked away. Just then, footsteps approached. It was Zoya. Covered in a soft pastel hijab, her face calm yet unreadable, she sat on the opposite bench. "Assalamu alaikum, Sikander," he responded with a trembling, "Wa alaikum assalam." Zoya looked directly at him. "Why did you call me here?" Sikander took a deep breath. I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I can't live without asking for it. Zoya, I've changed not for you, not for love, but for Allah. I lost you, and in that loss, I found who I truly was." Tears welled in Zoya's eyes. "You broke me, but in my brokenness I found strength. I found Allah." There was silence, a beautiful silence. Then Zoya spoke. "I forgave you a long time ago, not because you deserve it, but because my Rab deserves it." Sikander was stunned. His lips parted, but no words came. Zoya continued. "Forgiveness is not approval. It's freedom from holding on to the poison of hate. I am at peace, Sikander, and I pray one day you will be too." She stood up, gave him a small smile, and walked away, not as a victim, not even as a lover, but as a victorious soul who had chosen the higher path. Sikander didn't run after her this time. He looked at the sky and whispered through tears, "Ya Allah, you sent me the biggest test in the form of my own mistakes, but you also sent me a teacher in the form of the one I hurt." Moral: sometimes the greatest form of strength is not revenge but forgiveness for the sake of Allah, and that forgiveness liberates both hearts. Presented by FunnyFun2 Islamic Channel. If this story touched your heart, imagine how many hearts you can touch by sharing it. Like, share, and subscribe to FunnyFun2 for more soul-healing Islamic stories every week.